In the opening scene of the movie, we're introduced to a man who appears to be unconscious. When his eyes finally flutter open, he finds himself trapped in an open grave, surrounded by a horrifying pile of corpses. Amid the grim discovery, he spots a gun lying nearby. Just then, his gaze lands on a girl standing above him, and he desperately calls out for help. Without hesitation, she tosses down a rope, allowing him to climb out and escape the nightmare below. Once he's out and catching his breath, the man starts searching for the mysterious girl who saved him. His eyes catch sight of a nearby house and he cautiously makes his way inside. There, to his shock, he encounters 5 other people huddled together. Like him, none of them can remember their own names or how they ended up in this eerie place. They've all only recently regained consciousness themselves. Scattered around the house, they stumble upon their identification cards, which finally reveal their identities. The man from the grave is named John. The others are Lucius, Michael, Nathan, Sharon, and a silent girl whom they refer to as Mute, since she doesn't speak a word. As the group huddles in confusion, they all begin racking their brains, desperately trying to piece together fragments of their past lives. Who were they before this? What brought them to this forsaken spot, where thousands of bodies lie rotting outside, hinting at some unimaginable catastrophe? The Mute girl, it turns out, holds all the secrets in her mind, but her inability to speak leaves her frustrated and isolated, unable to share the truth with anyone. Determined not to sit idle, the entire group bands together and sets out on a perilous quest to uncover their identities and unravel the mystery of the massacre that seems to have claimed so many lives. Lucius notices strange marks on Mute's hand and presses her for answers, but she can only gesture frantically, her silent pleas falling on uncomprehending ears. John, meanwhile, flips through a calendar on the wall and spots the date of the 18th circled ominously. Turning to Mute with growing urgency, he demands to know what significance that day holds, but once again, her muteness traps the knowledge inside her. In a dusty closet, Michael uncovers a chilling arsenal, stacks upon stacks of guns and ammunition, enough to arm a small army. He shares the find with the group, and a heavy silence falls over them as they ponder the terrifying question. Why on earth would they have stockpiled such deadly weapons? What kind of danger were they preparing for? Later, while John is in the bathroom tending to his wounds, Sharon approaches with some bandages and medicine. As she helps him apply them, a spark of familiarity ignites between them. A subtle, unspoken bond that suggests they shared something deep and personal in their forgotten lives, though the details remain just out of reach. While John showers, flashes of fragmented visions assault his mind, pulling him back to echoes of that fateful night. In one vision, Mute suddenly bolts out of the house into the darkness, vanishing into the unknown. John, Sharon, and Lucius give chase, their footsteps crunching through the underbrush. Deep in the woods, they stumble upon a grotesque sight. Dozens of bodies strung up and bound to trees like macabre decorations, their lifeless forms swaying gently in the breeze. Back at the house, Nathan has been poring over some old books when he realizes, to his astonishment, that he can read Latin fluently. Excitedly, he shares this revelation with Michael, who confesses his own surprising skill. He's a crack shot with firearms, handling them with the ease of a seasoned marksman. Bit by bit, their suppressed memories are clawing their way back to the surface, like puzzle pieces refusing to stay buried. John, Sharon, and Lucius continue tailing Mute through the shadowy forest until they reach a dilapidated wooden cabin. Inside, they find Mute gently feeding a frail, sickly woman who looks on the verge of death. The woman's eyes widen in terror and rage when she spots John. "You've used me," she screams, lunging at him with feral desperation. John, acting on instinct, fires his gun and knocks her out cold. As the dust settles, John's attention snags on a hidden camera in the corner. He alerts the others. Someone, or something, is watching their every move. This revelation sows seeds of doubt. Sharon and Lucius exchange uneasy glances, their trust in John fracturing as they whisper accusations. Could he be holding this woman captive? Is he the villain in their midst? Unable to shake the suspicion, they slip away, leaving John to grapple with the growing paranoia. Back at the house, John fiddles with a locked door, his curiosity piqued. Nathan approaches and mutters something in Latin. To their mutual surprise, John responds fluently in the same ancient tongue. In that shared moment, a flicker of recognition passes between them. They're connected somehow, brothers in amnesia, bound by secrets yet to be unveiled. The next morning, the group steels themselves and decides to venture deeper into the woods to investigate the horrors lurking there. John, Lucius, Nathan, and Sharon head out, leaving Mute and Michael to guard the house. Their trek yields nightmarish discoveries. more mutilated corpses littering the forest floor, and behind a cluster of trees, 2 abandoned cars gleam like beacons of hope. The sight fills them with a rare burst of optimism. Salvation might be closer than they thought. Meanwhile, alone in the house, Michael and Mute freeze at the sound of distant screams echoing through the silence. Michael instructs Mute to stay put and barricade herself inside, then grabs a rifle and follows the cries. He traces them to a nearby bar, where a man is trapped and wailing for rescue. Heart pounding, Michael edges closer to free him, only for the stranger to whirl around with murderous intent, snapping Michael's neck in a blur of violence. The man lets out a maniacal laugh, his eyes wild and vacant, as if he's been consumed by some infectious madness. In the woods, Lucius rummages through the cars and uncovers a group photo of the team, everyone except John. He thrusts it under John's nose, his voice laced with accusation, "You're not one of us." Before the tension can erupt, Mute bursts onto the scene, urgently gesturing for them to follow her to where Michael lies. The group arrives to a gut-wrenching tableau: Michael's body, lifeless and broken. John doesn't hesitate, pumping bullets into the infected attacker until he slumps to the ground. With grief weighing heavy, Sharon and John attempt to hotwire one of the cars for escape. As the engine sputters to life, their eyes lock on a crumbling, abandoned building in the distance. Etched into its weathered walls are the words 18th. The date again mocking them from afar. John's mind races. What cataclysm is tied to that cursed number? Nearby, they spot a military truck half buried in the overgrowth, confirming the building was once a camp of some kind. Sharon's breath catches as she glimpses a small child darting inside, slamming a door shut behind him. The boy barricades himself and cries out John's name, pleading for him to leave. The plea hits John like a thunderbolt. The locals know him and they fear him. He begs the child to open up, to explain, but the door remains sealed. Frustration boils over as John pounds futilely against it. Tensions spike elsewhere. Lucius, unraveling under invisible strain, lashes out irrationally, his behavior turning erratic and violent. Mute tries to calm him, but he twists her arm viciously until Nathan intervenes, restraining his friend. John's rage at the locked door mirrors the chaos, and it takes effort from the others to pull him back from the edge. Lucius's condition deteriorates rapidly, feverish and aggressive. Mute and Nathan decide to leave him to rest at the house and press on alone to the wooden cabin, hoping the escaped woman holds more clues. But when they arrive, the place is deserted. She's vanished like a ghost. Nathan, driven by an unquenchable thirst for answers, ventures off solo into the tangled woods. There he finds a pair of glasses half buried in the leaves, his own. Slipping them on, a torrent of memories floods back, shattering the fog in his mind. At the house, Mute returns to find Lucius in the throes of delirium, his eyes burning with unnatural fury. He pursues her with predatory intent, forcing her to flee upstairs and lock herself in a room, heart hammering against her ribs. Undeterred, Lucius descends to the basement, where he uncovers a chamber of abominations. Jars filled with preserved brains, remnants of twisted experiments. A bank of flickering screens reveals live feeds, cameras monitoring the infected hordes outside. One screen loops a damning video. John performing gruesome procedures on the very group now lost in amnesia. Lucius's blood runs cold. John isn't a savior. He's a monster, the architect of their suffering. Deep in the woods, Nathan stumbles upon the wooden cabin once more, this time finding the infected woman cradling her daughter's corpse, tears streaming down her ravaged face. She spots him and attacks with primal savagery, but Nathan overpowers her, locking her in a makeshift cage. As he flees, the full weight of his past crashes down. He remembers everything now, the truths he's been chasing. On the road back, Sharon and John encounter a pack of infected lunatics shambling toward them, their grotesque assault halted only by the stench of corpses dangling from nearby branches. John realizes with horror, the infected recoil from the smell of death. It's a fragile defense in a world gone mad. They finally stagger home only for Lucius, gun drawn and eyes blazing, to accost John. "You're no good man," he snarls, forcing Sharon to watch the incriminating video. Her face crumples in betrayal. The evidence is irrefutable. John stammers defenses, but Lucius silences him with a brutal shot, rendering him unconscious before dumping his body back into the open grave like discarded refuse. When John awakens in the pit once more, his eyes fall on a girl's corpse at his feet, a tattoo etched into her skin. The sight triggers a visceral memory, his own hands slamming her head against a wall in a fit of rage, ending her life. But why? The motive eludes him, a gaping void in his fractured psyche. Inside the house, with Sharon and Mute, Lucius's infection surges unchecked. He corners Mute, his intentions turning assaultive and vile. Sharon, seizing a gun, fires without mercy, but the shot only enrages him further. He grabs the keys to a car and peels out into the night, a ticking bomb on wheels. Mute, ever resilient, ventures back to the grave and hauls John to safety with the same rope that saved him before. Armed with determination, John races to the abandoned building and the child's hiding spot, seeking the final threads of truth. The place is empty, but a small box catches his eye, one he vaguely recalls entrusting to a stranger for delivery to the military. Flashes return, a map, a desperate handover. Noises draw him deeper, leading to two infected figures. He confronts them, demanding answers for their monstrous behavior, but the woman merely stares with hollow eyes. In a clumsy moment, his car keys slip from his pocket. She snatches them and, in a grotesque twist, swallows them whole. Disgusted and desperate, John shoots her and retrieves the keys from her stomach, fleeing the scene with bile rising in his throat. Further along the path, an elderly woman levels a gun at him, her voice steady, "You can't hurt us anymore." John pleads for information, but she scoops up her own infected daughter and disappears into the shadows. Nearby, a wrecked car lies mangled from a horrific crash, and beside it, the very box from his vision. Heart pounding, John pries it open, and the dam breaks. Memories cascade like a torrent. The world had succumbed to a ruthless virus, turning ordinary people into rage-fueled killers who slaughtered without remorse. Governments, in a last-ditch effort, dispatched elite teams like John's to isolated outposts. John, a brilliant doctor, led his squad, Sharon, Lucius, Michael, Mute, and Nathan, to experiment on the infected, racing against time to develop a cure. And they succeeded. The vial in the box held the vaccine, a miracle serum John had passed to a courier for transport to the military, who would distribute it globally and save humanity. But fate intervened cruelly. The courier's vehicle plummeted off the road in a fiery wreck, dooming the serum to obscurity. Worse still, John's own team had fallen victim to the plague, their bodies betraying them one by one. The video Lucius saw? Not torture, but salvation. John injecting them with early prototypes of the cure in a frantic bid to save their lives. In the crashed car, John finds a photo of himself and Sharon, locked in a tender embrace, confirming she's his girlfriend, his anchor in the storm. Nathan, too, snaps into focus as his brother, blood thicker than the virus. Suddenly, Lucius roars into view, fully consumed by the infection, a snarling beast behind the wheel. He lunges at John, fists flying in a blur of hatred. John pleads, revealing his role as their doctor, their teammate in this apocalypse. But Lucius, lost to the rage, won't hear it. In a heartbreaking act of mercy, John grabs a rock and crushes his skull, ending the torment. Nathan, his memories restored, returns to the house and reunites with Sharon, who confesses her own recollections have returned. Their fragile peace shatters as a horde of infected breaches the doors, forcing the siblings to fight back to back, bullets flying in a symphony of survival. John, piecing together the final shards, recalls his own brush with death. During an experiment, an infected girl bit him, forcing him to bash her head in self-defense. He dragged her body to the grave, injected himself with the vaccine, and blacked out, memories erased, awakening amid the dead as if reborn into hell. The entire team had received the shots. Amnesia was the cruel price of their immunity. Dawn breaks and it's the 18th, the circled date etched in dread. Nathan tells Sharon the military is due any moment for extraction. But when the helicopters thunder in, it's not rescue that follows. Soldiers mow down the infected with ruthless efficiency, then turn their guns on Nathan as he emerges, waving for mercy. He crumples in a hail of bullets, the betrayal complete. The military isn't here to save, they're here to eradicate, silencing the outbreak, and its witnesses, forever. John witnesses the slaughter from afar and sprints to Sharon, enveloping her in a fierce hug amid the chaos. They flee together, the whine of pursuing gunfire at their heels. An infected woman materializes from the trees, slashing Sharon with a jagged knife before John guns her down. Bleeding profusely, Sharon clings to him as they dive into the safety of the pit, the grave that started it all. John administers the last doses of vaccine to them both, buying time against the encroaching darkness. Sharon presses a hastily scrawled letter into his hands. "When you wake up," she whispers, "read this. It'll bring you back." The military sweeps through, claiming victory and extermination, but Mute, hidden in the shadows, survives unscathed. John's eyes open to amnesia once more, Sharon cold and still beside him. Mute's rope descends like fate's second chance, pulling him topside. He unfolds the letter and clarity floods in. Sharon's words paint the full horror, a plague ravaging the globe, their mission to forge a cure from the ashes. But the true revelation chills him. Mute is the key. Her blood carries the antidote, a living vaccine capable of eradicating the virus worldwide. John's duty is clear: protect her at all costs, fight to deliver her to safety and redeem a dying world. The film closes on a haunting vista. John and Mute standing at the edge of the massive pit, a sea of plague victims stretching into the horizon, a testament to the apocalypse they've barely survived. And with that, the screen fades to black. Folks, that was the gripping tale of this film, where the silent girl held the power to heal a broken planet. John, the dedicated doctor, arrived with his team to chase down a remedy for the plague that devoured everything in its path. If you enjoyed this breakdown, drop a yes or no in the comments below. Let me know what you think. Got any burning questions? Fire them away in the comments section. For more thrilling story recaps like this one, hit that subscribe button on our channel and tap the bell icon so you never miss a notification. And if you're itching to watch this movie yourself, follow me on Instagram, I'll hook you up with the link there. Oh, and don't forget to smash that like button and share this with your friends. Spread the chills.